What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. We have a special episode today.
We do. What are we doing today, Nate?
Well, it's just me and you.
Yes.
Nobody else. And, you know, it might be time for that.
We do have a live
it's been
studio
a while.
audience.
And our live studio audience, but they're silent. We tried to get one of them to be on this episode, but they wouldn't. We wanted a narrator. But this is our question and answers episode. We realize we have waited way too long to do this.
Yeah.
Apparently this is a standard for podcasters, and we have been slacking. So we've been getting a lot of questions over the year. We're like 11 months in now, which is crazy. But people have been asking us questions pretty consistently that we've been answering personally, but we figured we should answer some of those questions on here. So we have asked you for questions. You have given us questions, and we are here to answer them.
We are here to answer them, and Henry's going to answer some.
And Henry
the
will
dog, in case you're
eat
listening.
the toy and look at you and look at us. And he's our comfort animal. Now we're getting to the real questions you asked. The things you wanted to know about us. The things that you thought were most relevant to what we do and the podcast. And the first question is, what are your favorite coffee orders? And the depth is lacking in this one, but we're still going to answer it because we got it twice. Did we get this question three times?
Yeah.
So I don't really go to Starbucks. And I've talked about this before. I don't do all that. I'm a simple boy. I want to go to some third wave, very craft place, very only in the city place. And it's going to be a cappuccino, but not like a Starbucks cappuccino. This thing better be 6 ounces or 8 ounces max and have a perfect foam and use a whole milk, preferably organic, and be some sort of single origin ideally. But if it is a blend, that's fine too. And if it's burn at all, I will just be sad. And that's it.
Things Nate dislikes that most people love. Frappuccinos.
I do like them, but guilty pleasure.
Phil's coffee.
Yeah, no. Most coffee in this, if you don't know this, and if you're a millennial, shame on you.
You like your coffee
most
to
coffee in
taste-
this country is burnt.
Okay, but you like your coffee to taste like battery acid.
You mean acidic coffee? I like fruity coffee if it's like a good blend.
Surprise, surprise.
What coffee have I drank that tastes like battery acid? Which one?
Literally all of them. I'm just making a
Do you not like good coffee?
No, I love good coffee.
Do you like coffee from Scorpio?
Yeah, Scorpio's the best.
Well, what's the problem here?
I'm just giving you a hard
What's
time.
your coffee order?
Okay, my coffee order is, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime, cold brew.
Mm-hmm.
Or iced latte.
I like a cold brew in the summer.
Fall, winter, probably a
Pumpkin
little
spice latte.
cappuccino. No,
You like good cappuccinos
Yeah.
too. That's the
Yeah.
thing. You
Yeah.
do like good coffee.
I do. I just like giving you a hard time.
You're just not above getting like a kind of burnt sweet thing.
I love me a burnt sweet thing.
Yeah. And that's fine. And I need to learn how to accept other people
Okay.
better, because that's the point of our
I'm looking
podcast.
at our studio audience right now.
Okay. So the next question. Do you want to read the next question? You pick the next question.
Okay. Somebody asked, where do you find queer people who came out later in life?
That is tricky. Well, we have a Discord. No, I'm not going to plug that.
It is a good plug.
Well, no, I mean, there's places online you can find people. Discord is a good one. Like, we have a chat there, but there's only so many people on there. It's tricky, huh?
Yeah.
I think if there's a queer church around you, if you're still sticking with your faith and you want to find people in faith, obviously, like, church is not a bad place to do it. There's people of all ages. If you find an affirming church, there's some awesome people there usually. Obviously, queer spaces, queer sports, there's people of all ages doing these things. Like, there's queer hiking groups. There's obviously like bars and stuff, but you might not find people looking for friends. It takes a little bit longer. I know there's some gyms where like there's a lot more queer people. There's just spaces that you find.
Gay men's choirs.
Yes.
I've heard that like several times this last
But you have
week.
to be able to sing. You can only have a community if you are a
Well,
good
you
singer.
can do the like don't they have like triangles that you can like
a tambourine?
Yeah.
No, probably not. This is for the singers amongst us, and it's usually bigger towns. It's easier in a bigger town. That's actually a thing. Smaller towns, it's a little trickier. You have less options,
Yeah, that's so true.
less different activities. You kind of have to find the activity the gays are doing.
Yeah. I would even say like maybe putting yourself out on like a dating website, that like a Hinge or Bumble, and then just like writing in your bio like looking for friends. Like,
Yeah.
great if we connect romantically, but maybe we can just be friends.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'm not like a pro at it. I just honestly, Sacramento's not a huge city, and I'm still working on this one. So
Yeah.
it's a process that you take slowly. I think with friendships, it's almost like dating. You can't just expect to find someone that's just like you right away. You kind of have to meet a few different people and get to know what different people are like, and it takes time. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
And don't give up. It does take effort, but it's finding another person, you know. It's not like just going to the store and buying something. You have to find another person that's also looking for other people, that is also in a state of life where they're looking for new friends. So it's a little bit of a pursuit, but then there's a good chance they might be in your life for a long time. So
yeah,
it's worth the effort.
For sure. Yeah. Get a gym membership.
Get a gym membership.
Okay. Oh, wait. It's your turn.
I've been married for 13 years and I've recently realized I'm gay. What do I do? That's on. You go first.
We're actually not qualified to answer this question.
Yeah, this is something that there's no perfect answer for.
No.
This is something that's case by case. I've heard a lot of different stories. I've talked to some people who've gone through this. I've talked to some people that decided they want to stick with it, and I don't have any problem with that. I've talked to some people where they both talk to each other. It depends a lot on the straight member of the partnership, because a lot of the times once they find out their partner isn't attracted to them, and if they didn't know before, often it's like it reveals all these inner feelings of like, oh, this is why this person wasn't pursuing me very well physically. Like, that takes a toll after years of someone not pursuing you physically. It really messes with you, especially if you didn't know they were gay. So often I do think that a conversation should be had at some point. If you know you're gay, your partner doesn't, I think you need to express that. And often it will be a matter of what the other person wants to do as well. The tricky thing is if they don't believe being gay is actually real, because their religion believes that you should just be able to be with someone and being gay is just a figment of your imagination. That's where you get into the weeds a little bit, and it's tricky. There's no easy answer when your beliefs are that different fundamentally.
Would you say, though, that it might be different for, let's say, a woman coming out later in life than a man? Because I guess from the people that I've talked to, usually when it's a woman coming out to her husband, it's almost like, oh, so you're like bi. And there's like a little bit more wiggle room maybe in that, than if a man is coming out saying, I might be bi or I might be gay. And then, I don't know. What do you think?
That's tricky because it depends on the person. Like, I do think it's like stereotypes or not. Like, a lot of girls will be pegged as bi more than men. And it depends on the women. Because if they're fully not gay at all and they've been like having, with a man and they haven't been enjoying it for all this time, like, they're not bi at all. They're just doing it because they want to be a good partner. And honestly, like, in this day and age, especially with marriages that started in like Gen X, where they were just getting married before they knew what the attraction really felt like.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you hear a lot of these marriages where a lot of women will never have really had a great time having sex for all these years. Some of them aren't even bisexual or gay. Some of them just don't have a partner that makes an effort to, or they're not attracted physically to their partner. There's so many different levels of this. And I think a lot of people just be like, oh, that girl's just bi, or she likes men and women. It's really tricky when it's bi. If they're straight up gay, obviously, I'm like, you guys need to have that conversation. If it was me personally, I'd probably it'd be really hard. It's case by case, but I'd probably end it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if it's a case of like they are still attracted to men and they also are attracted to women, but they never got a chance to explore that, it's really tricky.
It is very tricky.
There's no perfect answer, is there?
No, and like you said, it's case by case. I think my thing would be, of course, having that conversation first with yourself and coming to terms with it. Because, I mean, this person wrote, I've been married for 13 years and recently realized I'm gay. So there's is some self-realization there, which is important. I think, of course, the next important conversation might be with a therapist or somebody that's outside of the marriage. Absolutely. Who could give you good counseling. And I would actually not go to a religious therapist or counselor. I would just go to someone who is licensed and has good reviews, steady-headed, and then kind of figure out what to do from there. Because you might find that you want to stay in the marriage because maybe you have kids or assets together, etc., even though you're not happy, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's that. I think you should have that conversation with your partner at some point, but...
Yeah. I think if there's like kids involved, especially like you're saying,
Yeah.
like that's a whole different thing because you're affecting a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think when it's matters of being suppressed for this long,
Yeah.
discovering it, everything feels really urgent and like you need to figure it out right away, or you can't wait to finally get to express something you've hidden for so long. All those feelings are super valid, but you have to try and hold everything at once of, well, what is the future I want? Am I sure that I want this to end? Have I tried therapy? Like there are a lot of roads you might want to try before you're just like, okay, I'm ending all this, I'm starting a new life.
Yeah.
Because I think in the pursuit of freedom, when your freedom's been taken away wrongfully, we just want to fight for that freedom. And it really can, like there's other people that are gonna be affected by it. It really is worth taking your time.
Yes,
going to a
absolutely.
therapist before you make
Yeah.
any sudden moves, talking to some other people that you can trust that are balanced, maybe not super religious, and just take the time to
Yeah.
figure out what's going
Yeah.
on. Because I've seen a lot of situations where people are just like, I want to be free, and they'll just kind of burn everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we were wronged in these situations where we were suppressed when we shouldn't have been. So there's been damage done, and we all we deserve better.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean the best situation choice for us is to just say, just
Burn
because
it
someone
down.
damaged
Yeah.
us, we burn it down. It's still like, what do you think is the best path for your life? What is a choice you really want to make? If you can lower the pain level, lower the strong feelings, and just get in touch with what you really want your future to look like, what you really want out of your life, without letting the pain make your decision for you. Because you might find you make a decision you weren't fully ready to make, or they didn't fully want to make.
Yes. Yeah.
So short answer, therapist.
Yeah. Get a therapist. Yeah. The only reason I say not religious therapist is because likely, and I don't want to like blanket statement the religious therapist part, but I've just most of the time have seen more shame come out of that route than truth and positivity, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's my only qualm with the Christian therapist part.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some therapists that won't act like being gay is real,
Right.
and then they'll kind of spin you in
And
circles.
they'll say it's the enemy. And
I mean, I've been to those, and
Yeah.
there are literal questions that they didn't have an answer for that they would just kind of go in circles on.
Merry-go-round.
And yeah, so
See a
balanced
therapist.
therapist.
All
See a
right.
therapist. Yeah, you pick the next one.
How has deconstructing your faith changed the way you date?
There's levels to that. Is it you this time?
You can answer it first, and I can.
Okay. Let me know if I'm mic hogging. I go on rants. And I can't stop talking. You can just punch me if I do. So this is complex because I was dating women before I really started deconstructing it all, and then obviously started dating men. So that's different in that with women, I was like trying to avoid their advances and not find some way to not make it weird that I wasn't making advances, while also trying to hope that some spark materialized. So that was just an anxiety attack over like a month period of me trying to date these women. That's how I dated before I deconstructed. So when I started dating men, it was different. Obviously, I think I started dating men while I was still deconstructing. And so part of me was still wanting to find someone that had similar values, still the case. But I think it's been tricky because I've also been figuring out what like internalized homophobia looks like, what I'm looking for in a partner. Because I think familiar to me is someone that's been through a similar background to me, but I don't want to be just like looking for people that have had the exact same life I've had. And I want to be more open, but then I also feel like there's deep things I like to talk about that have a lot to do with the trauma I've gone through. And it's really nice when someone has understanding for that,
Yeah,
and
that
really
makes
can
sense.
get that.
Yeah.
And my faith, I still like believe in God. I think it's just gotten more like I have a lot of openness to, I don't know everything, and maybe there's more to it. And I don't feel like I adhere to like American Christianity very much, as more I just like follow faith. So that now that I've deconstructed more and I'm in that, I do feel like faith wise, there's a lot I can date around in, because
Yeah.
I think as long as someone is open to spirituality, I feel more comfortable with them, instead of like me wanting to find someone that's really Christian feeling. So I think every year it's kind of gotten more open in the group of people I want to date. And I also think I want to keep expanding. And I think sometimes I feel not as deep into queer culture as I'd like to be. I think that's part of my goal the next couple of years is just to get to know more of queer culture and date a little more out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So
what does that mean though?
Date out of my what?
Like date out of your comfort zone.
Well, because like I think finding people like me is instinctual because we just do. I think friends and people are attracted to. I think I've realized just coming out recently, I am in a bit of a box, and I just naturally am not going to like. I'm meeting people, but queer spaces are a lot, and I'm not like someone that wants to party all the time. So if I'm not like going out and doing like pretty like loud things often, I feel like I'm not really meeting a ton of the community. And I'm like, I do want to meet more, and I feel like there's pieces of me that I haven't fully explored. So that's kind of what I'm feeling. It's tricky. And so I think deconstructing more has kind of opened me onto those spaces a little more, but I do think the journey's not over.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think for me, like you, I would want someone who, I think I used to be really set on wanting someone who was also Christian. Yeah. And over the years, it's just changed. Even within like healing and therapy and being in therapy groups, I have found that people hold the meaning of a higher power differently, and it's just as beautiful. And so I don't feel as like stuck on the idea of like having to date a Christian. I would like to date someone who can respect that faith part of me, but I've also have found that there are so many people who don't consider themselves Christian or religious who are just as loving and quote unquote Christ-like as a lot of Christians that I actually know from the church. And so I'm just like really open to dating someone who respects my faith and like I don't know, has like a curiosity about the way that it shaped me in my personhood. But also, I feel like I just can like actually now walk into queer spaces like a gay bar and not feel uncomfortable and not feel like, oh my God, I'm going to go to hell. Like, you know, like it just feels a lot more open. And that's come from like the last 2 years, I think. So yeah, just like you feel a lot more open to different people, which is great. Yeah.
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 I think the cultural differences are things you don't fully realize until it just takes time.
Yes.
I don't think we realize like, and I think I still come across culturally as some sort of hybrid, and I'm okay with always being a little different. Yeah. But it would be nice to feel a little like I, understand this new culture a little better. Yeah. So, 1 year at a time.
1 year at a time.
I have friends from my past that still love me and are Christian, but are not affirming. What do I do?
Oh, I'm actually, I think, a good person to answer this one. I literally just met with one of my friends, one of my closest, dearest friends to me. She is a pastor. I don't know that she's affirming. I don't think she is. But I love the snot out of this woman. And I have seen her now. Like have 3 kids, and
ew. Why were you there for that?
Not like that. She's become a mother. Okay, so like.
Well, yeah, you watched it happen. That's a little much. Too close.
I've like seen her come.
Friends don't go to the births. We don't need to do that.
Well, I was at my sister's birth. That was
that's your sister.
That was traumatic. Actually.
And I'm so proud of you.
And I don't know.
But never. I could never. I don't want to. I could, and it's a beautiful thing. Women are so strong. Keep
okay going. I'm sorry to the listener because it's so annoying when 2 people are talking over each other. Okay, so all this to say, I feel like with this friend in particular and other friends that I have that are like this, I don't want to lose out on them. I think that they bring something to my life and I bring something to their life that with the right boundaries, respect, and love is actually really healthy and growing for all of us. And even this last time that I hung out with this friend, having heard the way that her political views have changed because of having somebody like me in her life is really meaningful. Like I didn't realize the impact that I had in some of those views changing. And even with family members who are more conservative leaning when it comes to sexuality, having conversations with them this last year when it comes to changing their views on gay people. Like that was really surprising for me. People who I'd never thought would have changed their minds. And all it sometimes takes is somebody to hang in there. And I don't think this is a good idea for people who are keeping friends around who are not valid. I don't know that that's the right word, but who are, I guess, for lack of a better term, toxic to finding peace and peace within themselves. If that makes sense.
No, I get you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are the kind of friends that I wouldn't even keep around, even if you're gay or not, you know, whatever situation that is. The friends who are toxic are not the ones that you want around.
Yeah. I was thinking about this for a bit because it's really up to you. Like when we went into the whole conversation about talking to someone that's celibate and we're interacting, becoming friends with somebody who does believe that we are going to hell if we maintain this existence, this lifestyle, but also they're super sweet and loving and said they would come to our wedding. So it's like, I don't think everyone can necessarily be friends with someone that like feels that way all the time. Like it depends what stage you're at. Cause if you're still really dealing with shame, it can be really hard to have someone around you that will voice that occasionally.
Yes.
And so if you're not in a place to hang around those kind of people, you don't have to feel guilty for that. But if you feel like you've had a lot of healing and you value that connection and you want to keep it, you can, as long as you're aware of how it's affecting you. Are you secretly doubting that like maybe you're going to go to hell, and when you're around them, you think about it more and you go into guilt spirals? Then that is something to think about, but it really is a case by case.
Yeah.
I think I've got people in my life that have different opinions. I feel pretty confident in where I'm at right now, as do you. And so I can be around them and it doesn't make me feel afraid that I'm actually going to hell. So if you have grace to be around people that are not affirming, that don't feel like they can be around you without saying something, especially, do not feel obligated to stay around them. If they're not making you feel supported, then, and if it's leading to a decline in your mental health and you're just sticking with them because you're afraid to stretch yourself and find different people, that's when I'd say, hey, you might want to depend less on those friends. And then if you have other friends, I think it's really important that you do find friends that are fully affirming and you know what that experience is like.
Yes.
I think I've seen the bad side of this can be when you don't have any other friend group and you're like, well, I'm going to stick with my other friends because it's all I have. And they constantly make you feel kind of bad about yourself. And you're like, well, I don't have anything else. I would really encourage you to find other friends. And then if you have other friends while also having some friends that aren't affirming, then you kind of can see what the difference is, and you can see if you're really feeling still loved, still feeling safe and happy with those non-affirming friends, and you feel like at least the way they're communicating isn't making you feel bad about yourself, not making you go into shame spirals, and you're feeling supported and loved by them, then it's a different story. When it's a case by case, again, like even with this, like having a therapist to talk to, like, how do you actually feel when you leave that friend group? Are you okay? Are you feel all right? Is your mental health at a fragile place? These things all kind of factor in there.
Yeah. You saying that makes me realize I think I got really lucky with some of my friends, because although I wouldn't say they're affirming of gay marriage per se, I've never walked away feeling less validated. Or like they are I don't know, just invalidating my feelings. They're curious, they ask me questions about it, and
I guess if they're holding space, LOL, if they're holding space for the unknowns, that helps a lot. If there's people that are unsure, that feels so much safer than someone's like, well, you're definitely going to hell and you just need to keep thinking about it. There's a difference. There is a scale. And I think in California, we have a lot of people around us that are at least a little open to it. And those are people I'm like, okay, you're listening. You're at least not sure. And that makes me feel a little better. And it's a spectrum.
Yeah, it is.
We all exist on a spectrum.
Did you ask that one or did I?
I did.
Okay.
That was question number 3 at the bottom.
Okay, cool. How did this kind of is a good segue. How did you decide when the right time to come out is? So
I broke my leg, and that felt like the right time. Depression, sadness, desperation. 30 years old. It was a lot. We're not standard cases. Mine should have been way sooner. Like, I should have done this a long, long time ago. The thing for me was I had questioned it for so long, and I was really, really scared to. And my life was built around faith. And so I didn't decide to until I was truly fully faced with the truth that there was not a speck of me that was attracted to women. I would not recommend that, because I think I missed a lot of, like, I missed my 20s of dating. Like, I didn't get to date in my 20s with anyone that I was actually attracted to. Now, if you're trying to decide for yourself, not like my story, but you're just maybe whatever age and you just haven't come out to anybody, it's up to you. There's no right or wrong way. I think if you want to date people and you're not, then I recommend starting that when you feel like you're in a good place and a safe place to date, and do that based on that. Now, whether you tell other people, that's really up to you. How is it affecting your life being in the closet? Are you living to the fullness of your life while you're in the closet? Is it changing the way you act? Is it changing the way you talk to people if you feel like you're closeted? Would you feel more free if you were out of the closet? Would you feel like you had access to more life if you were out of the closet? And what is it like if you're a teenager and your safety is going to be affected by being out of the closet? There's a lot of things that factor into that decision. You can't just come out if your family's going to kick you out. Like, there's some very good reasons to stay in the closet and figure that out. It has to be your choice. There should never be any pressure on this. And in some cases, like, you don't even have to come out to everybody. Like, there's no rule that says you have to tell all your friends that you're gay. If you know it's not going to go well and you don't want to tell them, you don't have to tell everybody as some like gay like pride thing. Like, this is your life comes first. We should all be taking care of ourselves first, and then we have energy to take care of others. And if you don't got it in you to come out to people, you do not have to do it. You could just go straight to like finding a queer like hiking group, meet some gay people. You tell them you're gay right off the bat. You never have a dramatic come out. Like, there's no rule to this. But if you want to have these connections with people that you're really close to, that you think their relationship could get stronger by coming out, or you think the relationship could end by coming out, there's a lot of reason to have that like process go through, because then it's not like, oh, I'm building this friendship, but someday they might find out and then it's going to end. And then how much deeper your friendship gets once you come out. Like, I feel like once I really revealed this piece of myself, I feel like people knew me way better, because there's not this layer that I'm hiding. There's not this duality in my personality where I'm only showing them pieces of myself. I'm actually showing them my whole self. So a lot of my connections felt deeper and more authentic. So it actually, I think, is the best I've ever felt in community has been after coming out. And that's not a coincidence. It's because I'm not hiding anything. I literally, that's like when I came out was when I decided I was tired of hiding things.
And that was either, I don't know, so many people do this. Like, you think you're gay and the first thing you do is either go on BuzzFeed and take a quiz, or the second thing you do is download Hinge and do like a catfish account or something like that, right? Like fake pictures or blank pictures, and you kind of see what's out there. Like, is it even worth the risk of coming out? And I did those things. And I remember freaking out one time because I handed my phone to my friend and I had notifications on Hinge on, and I was kind of like talking to someone, and I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, what if it says, I don't even remember what the girl's name was. What if it says like, Chloe sent you a message? And like,
it's a guy.
I was just so scared.
My guy friend named Chloe.
And that's when I was like, okay, this is actually becoming unmanageable. And I know the truth. I just need to fess up is basically what it felt like. And there was like, of course, risk involved. I wasn't a teenager. Like Nate said, if you're a teenager and you're afraid of being houseless after coming out, I would really consider maybe getting in touch with your local LGBTQ center. I know there are a lot.
Trevor Project. They help you find one.
Yeah, but in my case, I was a full-grown adult, so I didn't have those worries. It was just a matter of having some really hard conversations. And yeah, I think boil it down, when I knew I wanted to stop hiding things is when I came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's case by case.
It is case by case.
There's no perfect. Never do it cut of pressure.
Okay, next question.
Hey guys, I want to be a pastor when I'm older. I don't hold to affirming theology, but I follow your show because I'm interested in learning from the stories of queer people and their experiences in the church. I guess this might be a weird question for you all, but what do you think would be the kindest way to respond to someone who comes out as gay in a non-affirming church? Even if a person decides to leave, I would want to do everything I could to minimize the pain, dignify the person, and treat them well. That's a really tricky one.
Yeah, that is.
Do you want to
really
go first or me?
You go first.
Okay. I know I didn't fully read the question until right then. That's tricky because if it was me, I would leave, because it's just, I would want to bring a partner to my church someday. And I think there has to be an honesty of whether that would be acceptable or not for like two gay men to come to your church and sit together and not like PDA, but like potentially hold hands or be seen as a couple. Like,
totally.
There's no way to fully make that not feel unaccepting on some level. So I think if you can't accept them in that way and you still want to be kind, being really open and honest and soft and maybe being vulnerable with not knowing what to do and just trying to be kind, trying to listen, trying not to form any snap judgments, and just being honest. I think something that's really hard in the church is that everybody's trying so hard not to offend people, but they're not honest about their actual policies towards gay people. So like at my old church, they would kind of let gay people come, but then behind closed doors, we talk about how these people weren't allowed to be certain levels of volunteers. They can only be level 1 volunteers.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm hearing that at the host meeting. I'm like, well, this couple has no idea that we're all talking about them and that they're not allowed to be this next level. We're not telling them that.
Yeah.
But we're setting up this structure. So what's more hurtful, having everybody talk about you behind your back and say you're not actually a valid member of a church to any level of real volunteering, and not telling them that and let them just think they're accepted, when really, like, they're going to find out someday. They're going to talk to a staff member when they want to go deeper, and they're going to be like, oh, no, we actually don't accept your lifestyle. We prefer you weren't like that. This is an unprecedented time because there's so many gay people that are still choosing their faith, and we don't always have a place to go. So some of us do want to go to churches that are not affirming, and that's our choice. But I think for those of us who are looking for an affirming church, if your language is unclear and someday we're going to find out, it's kind of worse to be so afraid to be honest that you're actually making us feel like you're affirming when you're not. So I guess honesty, trying to be soft and vulnerable and kind as best as you can, but also accept the fact that with us believing this is who we are and you believing that it's not, there'll always be a bit of a disconnect. We're never going to see fully eye to eye, and just be okay with that, not be upset if we don't really feel like it's a place we want to be. I don't know. That one's really tricky. There's no perfect there either. Yeah.
I think what I like about this question is the person asking it says, I'm listening to this podcast in hopes of understanding, what is it? I'm interested in learning from the stories of queer people and their experience in the church. So even you using the words queer people and their experience in the church, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah,
I think you're on the right track.
I started with that.
It's okay. And even the interest to learn in somebody's story, I think that gives you major empathy props that a ton of pastors triple your age don't have.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think you're doing a great job. I would make friends with queer people in your community, people who maybe have left the church, people who have no experience with the church. Maybe they just have an idea of what your church is like. Because I think you'll find that a lot of people think that most churches are the people holding the signs that say, you know, queer people are going to hell or something like that. I would try to engage with people who are different than you with zero expectation or outcome, desired outcome of what it could look like. Just be there to talk to them in person and learn what they like for coffee. Take them out to coffee. I think that alone will teach you so much about what it is like to engage with a queer person, and what the church could be like to that queer person.
Yeah. And thank you for asking that question. I really do thoughtful. Think that's thoughtful. And I think it is going to take us being from different places and all like trying to meet each other in the middle. And hopefully, like, I do love where you're coming from. So
we are going to go a little bit off script.
Yeah.
Because I think we get a lot of questions sometimes in our inbox and they're not necessarily on here.
Yeah.
One of the top ones that we get is, are we dating?
Each other?
In general. Well, we know we're not dating each other.
Okay, well, no, we don't get that. We don't actually get that question. I am single.
what has dating looked like for you? If you could do a dating Wrapped right now, estimate.
I think I've been learning a lot and trying to figure out what I'm looking for. And so I'm okay with that taking a while. I obviously wanted to just find a relationship because after coming out, it's like, well, now I get to finally date. And so I want to just find someone and fall in love. And my goal has been that, but then I do feel like I've rushed the process a little bit and wanted to just find something serious. And I do think there is a lot of in between where you're going to know yourself and you're going to know yourself as someone dating. So it hasn't been this quick, easy process. Also, I do feel like we kind of stepped into like the least monogamous time in dating history for like straight and gay people. Like no one's dating right now. I think like everybody's like no one's dating as serious in this last decade. I think it's been a very non-serious decade. Gen Z is just kind of like
it's a very Sex in the City decade. Yes.
Yeah, they kind of ended like long-term relationships, and it's the era of like the short-term
the government
situationship.
Long-term relationships.
I think COVID did it. I don't know. No, Gen Z did it. So it's also a weird time. It's not easy. I think. Obviously, we come on here and be like, hey, come out. It's great. It's awesome. You get to be gay. But it's also like the start of your dating process, not the end. Like it's genuinely the start of something new.
Yeah.
Not the end of like, oh, now I don't have to be single anymore. No, you're still single. You're just now starting the dating journey, which as you can tell from all your straight friends, dating is a lot of work and there's no promise you're going to find someone great right away. And looking for someone genuinely awesome takes time. And I am a unique, kind of quirky person who is also looking for a semi-unique person. So I'm okay with it taking a while. If it takes forever, I will still be glad I came out. I will still have no regrets because I just feel like I'm so much more in touch with myself. But I am single. And I'm ready to mingle.
Wow.
And yeah, that's it.
Love it.
What about you?
Not dating. Yeah, not dating.
Not dating anyone right now.
Not dating anyone right now. Because it sounds like you're not
actively like trying to date,
right?
But you are dating people.
Okay, if I did a Wrapped on my dating, I have been smitten with 3 people this year.
And honestly, respect.
Just 3.
You put your heart out there.
How many first dates? I could probably count them on one hand.
You've probably been on like 6 first dates this year, give or take. Depends what you call first dates.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But you put your heart out there really well, and I'm proud of you for that. You've done a really good job.
This last one crushed me, so I think I'm good for a while.
Yeah, you're finding more like potentials. I guess I found
you found some potentials.
I've had a weird year. It's been a weird year. We're going to talk about
Anyways, long story short.
My dating life is kind of funky.
You know, you come out, you think that's the worst of it. And then
and then it gets worse. No.
And then it gets worse.
No. It's just love is a ride. And there's a reason there's so many songs about this. And us new gays are like brand new to this. We're like, yay, love. And then we're like, this is why there's like so a million sad love songs. Because love is hard. Yeah. It's not cute. It's cute sometimes, but often it's hard.
Okay, the other question that we get a lot for some reason is what are our favorite TV shows? Did you notice that?
Yeah, they did ask us that. You first, me first.
You can go first.
Okay, Severance is awesome and new, and you need to watch it. Succession was so good. It was so good. If you haven't watched Succession, watch Succession. And then I like guilty pleasure show. The Office first 3 seasons will always be one of my favorites for comedy. Out of the box comedy. What else is there? Parks and Rec can be fun. And I've got deeper, better ones, but Arrested Development will always be a classic. That humor's great.
I'm recently really into Arcane. Have you heard?
I've almost finished season 2.
It's really good.
Animation be going hard.
No, it's so good. Okay, and then
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar's good.
Oh, so good.
I also really like Handmaid's Tales. You know, I was obsessed with that.
I watched the first. It's too depressing right now.
It's a little too real right now. Oh my gosh. Also, this is so guilty pleasure, but I love Sister Wives.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
No, a little bit.
It is.
I think it all broke down though. I think they're all divorced.
Yeah, they're all like divorcing him. So it's crazy. Anyways, I really love a trashy TV show. That. Okay, those are all the questions that we have. Those are the ones we want to go on.
There were a couple more we want to get into on Patreon that were a little more personal. So we're gonna do our first little Patreon segment. So for anyone that's a Patreon member or wants to be one, we're gonna have that over there. It's gonna be like 2 more questions, probably another 20 minutes. But otherwise, thanks for listening to our questions. If you have more questions, you can still send them our way. We'll maybe do another Q&A episode if we get another one, but hopefully this has been helpful.
Yeah. And just Merry Christmas, honestly. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the first year of us doing this, and we're still learning. We're not professionals, and thank you for trusting us with your questions.
And I guess to answer the Christmas question, like if there's any hesitancy or fear around this holiday season, just know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And yeah, just try and walk in there with peace and avoid conversations if you need to, and don't come out at Christmas time. We had one of our friends to come out during Thanksgiving, and I'm just like, it might happen.
I actually really like that idea.
That conversation, the politics might get you to come out, but don't.
No, like imagine like just wrapping little things for your family, and then they open them and it just says, "I'm gay."
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I might
Definitely
do
come out
that.
at Christmas. Susie's advice is wrap your mom a present that says I'm gay.
No, that would be
Her
devastating.
present is sadness.
Oh gosh, okay.
Unless you have an affirming mom,
Yeah,
you don't know.
unless
It
you
could
have
go
an
so
affirming
well.
mom,
It could go
yeah.
so well. Yeah,
All
I
right.
guess that's the end
Yeah.
of this episode. You can find the rest of us on Patreon. We do monthly chats on there as well. We have Discord that's free. You can just it's just text chat, and we've had some cool conversations on there. Really enjoying that. Otherwise, subscribe, like, follow, all the things. Thank you for being with us this year. I guess you might have one more episode this year. We'll see, but no, this might be the last of the year.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Thank you for being with us this year. This has been a chaotic, interesting project, and we've learned a lot about ourselves, and thank you for being down to learn with us and watch us grow.
We'll see you January.
See you January.